In this video, we're going to do stuff to that rectangle, or now set of rectangles, as you can see in my video group. First of all, I'm going to change the position of the rectangle through time. So what I have to do is I have to decide where the actual change is going to happen. So let's say I wanted the rectangle to come in from the side or drop down from the top. And at this point here in the timeline, so 15 frames in, I want it to come to a stop here. Well, I need to put in some kind of instruction for that. So the way that you do it is you add a keyframe. First keyframe you add is this little stopwatch character here. And then don't use it again, because what will happen is it will just simply remove the keyframe or any keyframes along the timeline. So simply put the keyframe in, and then I need to tell it where it's going to be at the beginning of the clip. So I'm going to send it to the beginning of the animation, and I'm going to put in a new keyframe. Any other keyframes I add should be added using the diamond, the little diamond shape, and then you can navigate between the two, or however many you have, using these tools. So I know that I want the position of the rectangle to move upwards. And if I hold shift while I'm manipulating, then it will stay constrained. So that rectangle now will drop down, and I can put in additional keyframes and have additional movement. So what I'm going to say is it's going to be stay in the middle there, and then over here I'm going to move it off to the side. Now, in actual fact, I didn't need to put in a keyframe there. Once you've started your journey, I'm just going to go back here. Once you've started your journey, Photoshop will anticipate that if I come to the end or any place along the way and move an object, it's going to move. Again, I'm holding shift. It'll automatically place a keyframe for me. Okay, I needed to put that one in because I need to tell it how long to stay. But I can move things about now, and Photoshop will add the keyframes for me. So it's like that. To make things a bit more interesting, I'm going to change the color of this rectangle. And so first of all, I need to identify the rectangle in the layer, and then I can just simply choose my color. I'm just going to use a paint bucket and tip the color in. Change the colors just to make it a bit more distinctive and interesting for you to look at. I want to look at opacity next. Actually, there's a couple of ways I can do this. I can either do it using keyframes along the timeline, or there's a quick way to do it. If you look in this drop-down menu here, you can see that you have fades. So if you've got a white background, for instance, I can fade with white. I can fade in or fade out, and basically all you do is you drop it onto the clip, and then it will fade up. And you might have noticed, so I'll just show you can actually delete it. So I'm just selecting it and deleting it. You might have noticed you can also give it a duration as well. So you can change that. You could experiment with the rest of them. You have crossfades, very typical in video editing, and just fade outs and so on. Fade with white is perfect for what I'm doing at the moment. And I'm going to leave the duration there. So basically I just drop it on, and I can still change the duration by going in and manipulating. Okay, so I've discovered my computer has a bit of problem showing you opacity at the same time as everything else. There's just too much going on. I'm just going to show you that in a separate document. So I have an object which comes in and disappears. And I'm controlling the opacity down here. So I'm just going to clear all of those. Bring the opacity of the whole layer back up. So it's going to move into position, and then when it gets there, I'm going to pop a keyframe in, and then keyframe, add another keyframe, and drop the opacity. So now you can see it moves into position and then fades opacity. You can do it along the same timeline. Just had a bit of trouble with the fact that I'd cut everything up on the same timeline. My original timeline, and now I'm going to add styles onto this clip. First of all, I need to put in a keyframe. Then I need to decide where the apex of that style will be, where I want it to be complete. I'm going to put in another keyframe, and then identify the layer that you're working on, and it's just a normal double click to get your layer styles up. Choose what styles you want to effect. So I put on a really hard chisel bevel onto this one, and I could add patterns. Let's just multiply the pattern through, and so on. So you can experiment with that. And of course, what will happen is, along my timeline, the styles appear. So the whole thing looks like this. Drops in, fades up, and then the style fades in. Final thing I want to show you is actually encapsulated within the clip itself. And you talk to the clip about rotating, changing size, and so on. I've got to say, it's not the most convenient way of working in animation. But if you haven't got any other software, you know, Photoshop is a good substitute. So view the next video for instructions on how to use the movement controls.